Hello! I decided to do another impromptu review video. Unplanned, but notes. So, steps up. Because I really enjoyed the ARC review copy that I got for this book. It was the first title I have read by this author, so I can't compare it to her other series. The description, though, that you might hear other people talk about, and if you read the actual description of the book, is, it's like almost what it says, but not exactly what it says. There's one key point that I feel like a lot of people might go into wanting and be disappointed by it. Okay, so the world of the gods below. It's not named, so I have no name to give it. However, what is very interesting is how much we will find out about this world through the context of the book itself. Because every chapter, first off, the names of the chapter, it tells you where we're taking place as we start, when exactly from the shattering this is, and the character that we're following in that chapter. And every chapter also has a snippet at the start of the chapter that gives us a little bit of lore or a little bit of
A few moments later.
religious tenements. Yes. Which kind of the same, kind of not the same. And I think there was one other thing, maybe. But those were the main things that you would get little snippets of at the beginning of every chapter before going into our character that we're following for that chapter. So the shattering, as every chapter header tells you where we are, took place almost 600 years ago. And in this, it's not exactly a shattering of the land so much as a separation. Because each kingdom has been separated from the others for the restoration of the land. Humans pled to the gods for salvation. One of them answered that but humanity would be changed to be able to save the world. And in doing so, he rose up this ether substance in between each of the kingdoms. And yes, the part where the ether is, it is shattered because it comes up from the middle of the world. And this keeps the kingdoms kind of separated as he restores a kingdom at a time over the past 570-ish years. Now, you can go through the ether, but it is deadly because ether is magic in a sense. It's like pure magical essence in a sense. And the way it's described and the way I pictured it is like is it the reality stone or in its ether state, from Thor 2 picture, but dark and maybe more granular, sandy in a format because of... Now, what actually caused the ruination of the world and magic is there used to be trees called numenars, and they were a magical tree. Humans found out how to harness the magic of the trees, well, by chopping them down and doing that. And that's how they fueled their technology and their lifestyle. Until most of them were gone, the ecosystem was ruined because most of these trees were gone. And the planet was dying. And humans were suffering. Thus, they went to the gods to plead for help. Through the events, though, right before the shattering, and I think right after the shattering, all of the trees, though, were gone. So there are no more numenars, no more way to get harness magic on the surface. That is the difference there between what the description kind of said and what really caused the destruction of the world. It was not a war of the gods that caused the world to be in the horrible state that we had to plead for help. It was mankind's own fault, and I don't know why that would need to be different in the description. The first character up that we see from, and I feel that we see the most from, is Hakara. She is about 15 or 16 when we first see from her, and all she cares about and wants to do is protect her little sister who is 9 and save her sister and give her a good life. They don't really have anybody to take care of them or provide stuff for them, so Hakara is a sea diver and trades goods and gets food from there. This has built up her ability to hold her breath, which comes important when they're trying to think about running through the barrier away from the restoration, because they don't agree with restoration. They don't know what will happen to them when the restoration sweeps through. That is the central description kind of the book, though, that Hakara and Rasha are separated when this restoration is coming, and when Hakara is separated from Rasha, that is when you will first see Rasha's point of view at her 9-year-old self. And that is such a sad chapter such a heartbreaking chapter because you have this little girl who has always relied on her older sister, and her older sister's always kept her promises to come back because, of course, at 9 she was worried that, her sister wouldn't come back from one of the sea dives because it is dangerous. And she's always come back. She's always kept her promise. So when she was told, wait right here by this rock, I'm going to go find a way to get us through. I'm going to get us like on this crew of people. She was going to sign up with them and have them take them both through. And something happened though. And so Rasha is just waiting and waiting. And she's like, Hakara will come back for me. And it's so, so sad. Then we have a time skip. We go forward 10 years and we see where Hakara has ended up, how she is still kind of a diver, just in a different situation, and we're having to hold our breath for different reasons because part of the restoration process, the god needs things called god gems to be able to harvest the ether from them. So people go into sinkholes to mine the gems past ether planes. And so you have to hold your breath to not breathe in the ether. Hakara is very, very good at holding her breath. She has been working all these years, though, to be able to get back to Rasha, as she believes in her heart. Rasha is still alive. She's going to find a way back to her. And Hakara is the most determined and stubborn person ever. You don't really see character growth from Hakara. You won't, because she is set. This is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. She signs up, though, with some rebels to help her get through to find Rasha. From Rasha, though, well, she started at 9 and now she's 19, so her growth, yes, you see her growth, not like spread out over the years, but from a 19-year-old, you see how she goes from scared and timid and learning that she can't rely on other people, and it's not that she doesn't want to rely on other people, but she knows that she needs to be strong for herself. She doesn't want everyone to see her as weak. And you see her go through these trials to become a god killer. It was interesting and a little sad because it leads to this breakdown at the culmination event. Had to take a break because landscaping near us. I believe I was about to talk about our third character though, Mulane. Mulane? Okay, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name. No, I'm not. He is an inventor and an explorer. He actually owns his own workshop where he sells things. And he's part of maybe a noble family or a wealthy family, noble adjacent, in the country of Langzin. Maybe. That could be from another book and it's just similar sounding. In his explorations though, he only ever has one goal in mind, one thing. He is trying to find Talimni's path because he wants to find a cure for one of his oldest friends, who she has some sort of ailment and she doesn't have much time left. So all of his chapters are on one of his explorations. Our other character though, that when I first read her chapter, I thought she was going to be more the side character and he would have more chapters. But no, all of the females in the book get way more chapters than our two male characters. Now how to pronounce her name though is Sawan. But see, then I want to say Suan, Wheel of Time. I'm not sure. She is Mulane's cousin, but from kind of a disgraced side of the family because her father was executed as an embezzler, which she doesn't believe. All of the hope of her family, though, has been put into her. Stop trying to put holes in my shirt. Into her, as she has been trained and tutored and educated in, education, and also in martial arts, arts of deception, lock picking even, though she asked for that one herself. It was from her tutor. And so her goal is to find out what happened to her father, clear his name, secure her family into better fortunes. But her family wants her to just make their family get out of this bad situation. All of the hope of the clan is on her shoulders, so it's a lot of pressure. Through various machinations and odd turns of events, she is, sent on a task where she's promised that will happen. And danger, discoveries, and a tad bit of sweet moment, and a bit of growth for Swan as, probably said that wrong, as she comes to realize that she's allowed to make her own choices in life. That yes, you can want to help your family, but you are the youngest person of your family, And it's kind of rude that they would, say that this has to be done to you, or, you have to do this. And so her growth and acceptance of this, of trying to like actually do for herself more than just for her clan, as dangerous situations keep occurring to her. In life-altering situations, kitten. Our last character would be Nyoenin. And this one takes place in the past, a few decades before the shattering, and then a few years after the shattering as well. And this is how you will see the Gods' War and the truth about the shattering, the truth about the world, kind of, well, bits and pieces. But through the two male characters, though, you really, really will question all of this lore and things that you have already heard through the book and continue to hear through the book. And the pieces don't fit together. I think I've already kind of talked about the plot when I was talking about the characters, because the central description and plot is the two sisters and their journeys, and Hakkar trying to find her way back to Rasha and all the steps she must take beforehand to, get funding and survive, and then with the rebel group and do what they want so that they will provide her information and transportation. And Rasha, as she's just trying to find her own strength and be the kitten's now bumping the camera. My last thoughts then are going to be spoilery, kind of. Not, well, these aren't my last thoughts, but like, okay, here's the spoiler section. Only some questionable thoughts and things. So skip forward if you don't want to hear things that I will still be vaguely alluding to without full spoilers. The timeline of Rasha there at the end. Her last god killer trial, she's supposed to go kill a god with her two compatriots, and maybe I just misread it or but I feel like and I don't want to say misremembering, because it was even from right after I'd finished it, it didn't make sense. She completed trial 2, they're told they have to kill a god for their third trial, and they're like pushed through something into what sounds like daylight. So it sounds like she's going to do that now. That's what I got. And yet the next time we see them is when the den is getting attacked, in that situation, and then we learn after that whole situation that now they're going to go kill that god for their third trial. So what was the pushing out? And because I really felt like, okay, Rasha's not in the den, that's great, they won't have to have this confrontation like while Hakkar's actively doing this thing. And then Hakkar, also from that same kind of scene, how in the world did they get out of the den? It was just she told him to go, and then I feel like Hakkar's next chapter, she's waking up a few days later somewhere else. How did you get out? What happened? Where did we think? And of course, the very last one has to do with Nyoenin, because Thasier had specifically said something, and then Nyoenin's last chapter, which I think was the last actually in the whole book, and how that played out in the very last bit, like what? So was this part a lie, or did this part have something happen? Overall, this was a 4.5 stars because I enjoyed it so much for the world and the lore and our characters. While yes, I get where some people said about them, but I don't rate highly in characters, or I don't dig into characters normally unless they're just absolutely atrociously stupid. That's the only thing that gets me. So we'll see how the characters continue to change, evolve, and grow through what I think is going to be a trilogy. I think this is the Hollow Covenant trilogy, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the next book to come out. And the split timeline aspect, I wonder if that will still come into effect in the next book. And the multi-POV, and just, we're left on such a cliffhanger for Melane's character and Nyoenin. I really hope, though, you will go pick this book up because it was great. I liked it so much. And now I really want to read her next series, her other series, the one that's done. Yes, words. If you enjoyed this video, even with the kitten eruptions, I hope that you will check out some of my other ones and subscribe if you like my style. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see you in the next one.